You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And how about that? The Tigers get it done with a win over the Boston Red Sox. Jack Flaherty, oh my goodness, had a no-hitter into the seventh. We're going to break that down and talk about the offensive power three bombs over the Green Monster. A 5-0 win for the Detroit Tigers in the opener of a 4-game series. Great stuff all the way around. Welcome into a live edition of the Locked On Tigers Postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And of course, if you don't love what you see, you can unfollow me as well. I certainly understand whichever decision you decide to make there. But let's have a good time. It's a fun show ahead. Jack Flaherty was dominant. The no-hitter into the seventh. The offense plays long ball. And that's now 5 wins in the last 6 games for the Detroit Tigers. Things you love to see. All good stuff all the way around, and that's why we thank you for making Locked On Tigers Postcast your home for Tigers post-game action, your one-stop shop for everything you need on the Locked On Tigers series. All part of Locked On Tigers Postcast. First listen every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube. All part of the Locked On Tigers Postcast and the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day, and that's why we appreciate you for subscribing to the show. And if you haven't yet, here is your reminder to subscribe to Locked On Tigers Postcast and Locked On Detroit on YouTube. Today's show also made possible by SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast, shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job, and get fast shipping from coast to coast, all at SupplyHouse.com. We'll do a little roll call as we've got everybody tuning in and lots to get to. I love a little YouTube roll call. Get to the comments right away because that's the beauty of the live show. I've got my thoughts on the dominant performance from Jack Flaherty, the power surge from the offense, and the momentum that's building around the Detroit Tigers, who are once again back to 500, now 28-28. 14-13 on the road. And with a 7-game road trip on tack, it's always good to start with a victory. And I know I point out the obvious there, but this road trip gets off to a promising start by shutting out the Boston Red Sox, which always feels good. Born Cool checking in. What up, though, Jake? Glad to shut these guys out. Absolutely. Benetti said it as he signed off on the broadcast. First shutout at Fenway Park since 2014. S-Dogs checking in. Looks like another good output from the offense. Indeed, it was. 3 home runs and a really good at-bat from Mark Canha on an RBI single. And there you go. Good on you, Jack Flaherty. Someone brought this to my attention earlier on X, and I know we've been discussing it throughout the course of the last couple of shows, but make no mistake about it. The Tigers have 3 legitimate candidates as it stands right now entering the month of June for Cy Young candidates. I mean, Derek Skubal is going to take the headlines. He has been unquestionably the ace of the staff and has been incredible in so many different ways. He was so good in game 1 of the doubleheader against the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday. Jack Flaherty has one of the best whip rates in all of baseball. He's been fantastic and has had several starts where he brings it to a different level, like tonight. And again, 6 1/3 of no-hit baseball. I thought for sure he was going to get the no-hitter. Let me know in the comments, did you feel a no-hitter was coming tonight? After Torkelson made that diving stop in the 6th, I thought, oh, baby, it's destined to be. I was bummed to see the leadoff walk because I think he had the stuff for a perfect game as well. Just kind of ran out a little bit of gas there. But that said, Jack Flaherty and then Reese Olson. One of the best ERA in all of baseball. Obviously, the run support hasn't been there for Reese Olson, so the record's not going to shine through as much as the other 2. But those are 3 legitimate Cy Young candidates for you. And we are lucky. And it's not often we've said that about this Tigers organization over the course of really the better part of a decade, where you have a tune-in factor the way you did in those glory years. And I hate to always go back to the glory years that we talk about, but the formative years of my lifetime where the Tigers were a candidate and a potential AL Central champion every single year. There were deep playoff runs. There were World Series appearances and so on and so forth. But we are fortunate to get to watch the type of starting pitching that this Tigers team is putting out day in and day out. Demetrius McNeil in the comments. Damn it, that prevents me from going to the Special Olympics at Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant, not too far from my hometown. Play of the game has to be Spencer's awesome play. Yeah, it was really, really good there. That kept the no-hitter alive for that time being. But Demetrius, wish you well, man. Appreciate you tuning in to Locked On Tigers postcast. So let's get into that start with Jack Flaherty. That is where I want to start today. Final line, he gets the win, 6 2/3, 1 hit, did not allow a run, walked 1 with 9 strikeouts. That's the type of control, command, and really just dictating all night what he wanted to do against opposing batters. 104 pitches, 66 of them for strikes. And Flaherty had a similar start a couple weeks back against the Cardinals where he was lights out. He was dominant. He was the old Jack Flaherty. And you talk about a guy that can be a anchor of this pitching staff in addition to Tarek Skubal and Reese Olson. Man, Jack Flaherty, love seeing him in a Tigers uniform. It's been really, really a great addition to this Tigers team in every sense of the word. And I do think we need to mention how well Nick Pivetta was for the Red Sox as well. Struck out the first 8 batters of a game. That's a Boston Red Sox record. And for the first 6 innings of this game, it really was a classic pitchers duel, which is a lot of fun to watch. And I guess you could say first 4 innings where it was just both pitchers just dealing on the mound. I mean, I felt like the first 4 innings of this game took about maybe 20 minutes. It was just 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. And Pivetta had the leadoff walk to Matt Vierling to begin the game. And I thought, well, maybe this guy's going to be a little bit wild, but I could not have been more off in that inclination as Pivetta settled in. Flaherty was lights out from the start, and the two of them just exchanged haymakers on the mound, blow after blow after blow, and the opposing batters just had to take it. And then the power became alive. And listen, I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. I'm happy to admit when I have a bad call on something. And Akil Badoo, in just a very small sample size, albeit just a sacrifice fly in yesterday's game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. But today, that home run over the monster, going the opposite way, that sparked this Tigers team. Make no mistake about it. So Colin Cowherd does where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. And I'm not going to say, well, where Jake was right, where Jake was wrong. But I have no problem admitting I was wrong about the Akil Badoo call-up because, and again, very short sample size, but so far that has paid dividends, and today was a good example. I think the retooled swing that you're seeing from Akil Badoo is a nice addition. So, and then once he got the power started, the good hitting can be contagious, and that's what we saw with a run in the 6th. I loved what we saw. We'll break down the offense a little bit more in the next segment, but a great at-bat from Mark Canha after the leadoff triple, a couple batters later after Riley Green was afforded the free pass, and Mark Canha had a great at-bat singling home Carson Kelly for the 2nd run. And then Riley Green finds himself a long ball pitch he can handle in the 8th inning, going the other way and hitting it over the monster. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Riley Green because you love to see him get the power going again. That was his first home run since May 6th, but I think he was fortunate that this game was being played at Fenway Park, where a fly ball to left field like that there's enough distance for it to clear the monster. That said, I love the fact that Riley Green got back in the home run column with the big fly to kind of break this one open, give the Tigers a little bit more insurance. And for Riley Green, that was, again, a really, really nice piece of hitting, 10th of the season for him, first since May 6th. All right, we're going to continue breaking this one down. If we got more people joining us on the YouTube stream, don't be shy. Go ahead and let your voice be heard. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Tigers beat the Boston Red Sox in the first of a 4-game series, 5-0 the score in this one. Don't go anywhere. We will break down the bullpen, look ahead to the upcoming series, and again, talk a little bit more about where this team is at right now as we get set to enter the month of June. That's all coming up in just a moment here on Locked On Tigers Postcast. All right, fired up to tell you about Supply House. That's right, Supply House, and supplyhouse.com is where you can get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products all online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest products information to help you get the job done right. That's important. You got to get the job done right, just like the Tigers got the job done tonight. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Let me say that again, delivered right to your door from coast to coast with fast shipping. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business. And talk to a real person. How many times have you been on the phone with a robot and you're ready to throw your cell phone through the wall? That's right. You get to talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All righty, 5 of 6 for the Tigers. And the story of tonight, make no mistake about it, is Jack Flaherty. And we talked at length, but if you're just joining us on the live YouTube stream, Jack Flaherty was dominant. He carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning, 6 1/3 of no-hit baseball, and did everything you can ask of a pitcher in attacking the zone, dictating tempo, putting the opposition in vulnerable spots, all chalk that all up for the best outing that we have seen from Jack Flaherty. Oh man, maybe the Cardinals won. I guess I got to go back and forth in between. Maybe recency bias will say the best outing you have seen in Jack Flaherty wearing a Tigers uniform, which, by the way, back to the traditional uniforms today after the Motor City Connect uniforms fell in the second part of that double header. All right. There is some mention in the comments that I was planning on getting to eventually, but we have given Jack Flaherty his flowers. He was excellent. We've praised the offense with Riley Green going yard. Really, Akil Badoo deserves a lot of credit for making an impact right away upon being called up from AAA Toledo. And the sac fly yesterday in game 2 and the home run today were both two really, really veteran-like seasoned player at bats where it looks like he knows a thing or two about being a big league hitter. Let's hope that's a sign of things to come and that he sustains that level of consistency and can be an asset to this Tigers team as they try to get out of this. I think Wojo's column in the Detroit News was great. Off the 500 treadmill, just the treadmill of keeping you going at 500. Seems like that's where this Tigers team is at. But hey, like I said, that's 5 out of their last 6. We're not going to complain about that. That feels really, really good. 3 of 4 over the Blue Jays, split with the Pirates in the doubleheader, and then you win the series opener today. And Riley Green, first home run since May 6th. So that's really good stuff right there as well. Again, goes the opposite way. 3 home runs over the monster with Gio Urshella concluding the scoring for the Tigers. You chalk it all up. It's a 5-0 win. But we do need to talk about a former first overall draft pick from Arizona State University, Spencer Torkelson. And Born Cool put it in the comments. I don't know what the HE double hockey sticks we do with them. And that's kind of how I feel as well, because somebody put it on X, I don't remember who it was, that if this isn't a first overall draft pick, he's in double A. I mean, there's just any way you slice the numbers, that's just the way it is. And I know people say he's leading the league in doubles. That's fine. Every other metric is just, it's not close. 0 for his last 10, I believe, with 5 strikeouts. Got to double check that, but hitting 155, 3 walks and 16 strikeouts in his last 15 games. Tough to watch. Yeah, I don't know how else you talk about what Spencer Torkelson is, or what he's not doing is probably a better way to put it, without it being brutally honest. I don't know how much longer this can continue to go on, where it's it's more than just, we got to give this guy more at bats, more of a sample size. He's a good second half player. We saw it last year. And you toe that line of, it's actually detrimental to a baseball team that isn't out of it yet. And the AL Central is good. The Cleveland Guardians, obviously, with the stranglehold with the Royals at the top of that division, the Twins and Tigers fighting to stay relevant. And you just can ill afford to put a player in the everyday lineup that's been as bad as Spencer Torkelson. And it's not personal. It's just the reality of the situation. You feel for the guy. There's a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure that comes with being a first overall draft pick. I get that. And especially, it's not like we've never seen what we're looking for from Spencer Torkelson, because the second half of last year, and in particular the last month of the season, and so on and so forth, was exactly what you hoped Spencer Torkelson could be. So that's where the patience / persistence of waiting for it to materialize, waiting for him to bust out of it, comes into play. But unfortunately, I haven't done studs and duds in a while, and I didn't feel like tonight was the right night, because everything was really, really good about tonight's 5-0 victory. Tiger fans should feel good. I'm not telling you how to feel. I feel good after tonight, and I don't know how you feel. But Spencer Torkelson, again, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And it's just, it's painful to watch. And maybe a good old-fashioned send down to AAA is, I could see that kind of going to one of two ways. And I don't know him personally. Admittedly, I enjoyed the few times I got to be involved with the media scrum in the Tigers clubhouse last year. Likable guy, charismatic, and easygoing, good interview, and so on and so forth. Seems to have the makeup of a winner, of a big leaguer. But so you worry about sending him down, creating this mental spiral of reaching a point that you can't get back from, and him just being a shell of himself and losing all that confidence. Or the other side of the coin is wake up call. He feasts on some AAA pitching. The ball all of a sudden looks like a beach ball. He feels good about his techniques, his swing, and then you get him back up with the big league club in a month, and he's back to being the type of player that we hoped he could be. Jose Abreu is an example with the Houston Astros. He went down, worked on the mechanics of his swing, and spent a little less than a month in AAA, and now he's back with the Astros. And I don't know his exact stats off my head. I'd be lying if I did, but it's an example of it working out, where he's now back to being an everyday player in the lineup for the Houston Astros. So let me know what you think. Always curious your thoughts. But Spencer Torkelson, a problem. I anticipate an off day at least for him tomorrow, with another tough night at the plate, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. But it was a great night for the Detroit Tigers to get back to 500, to shut out the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park, and enjoy an excellent pitching outing from Jack Flaherty all the while. So that said, we're going to wrap it up. Look ahead to the rest of the series. Don't go anywhere. Our Locked On Tigers postcast continues in just a moment. All right, my good friends, it's time to tell you about America's #1 sports book. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL. The Dallas Mavericks are working on their ticket to the NBA Finals to face Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. And let me tell you, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have been spectacular in this game 5. Hope you bet the over on this one, or at least bet with the Mavs. But either way, FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. I'll give it to you one more time. It's FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. That's right, my friends. New customer offer, FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. All right, we tie a bow on this one with good vibes all the way around. As always, let your comments be heard. Born Cool already on the Spencer Torkelson topic, saying either you sit him for a few games or he's got to go down. Even Dickerson tonight was mentioning something's got to give soon. Yeah, Dan Dickerson does a tremendous job, and I always enjoy hearing his call. I had the TV telecast on tonight. I might check out Dan Dickerson's call tomorrow night with the game being on Apple TV. And I believe Alex Faust is on the call for the Apple TV production of that. But that said, it's something does have to give. And I probably am an advocate for sending Spencer Torkelson down as perhaps a long-term move, letting him know that this organization believes in him, but there's also an accountability of production factor that comes into it. And that production just has not been there. So I'm also for sending him down, letting him get his head right, his mind right, a refresh, a reset rather, to refresh every component of what it takes to be a big league ball player. I'll say that on that one. So that said, always appreciate everybody chiming in to let your voice be heard on the Locked On Tigers postcast. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit, where we'll have Locked On Tigers postcast, Locked On Lions postcast, and of course, Locked On Pistons postcast as well. And don't forget that Locked On has launched a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streamed 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, all a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Now, as we look ahead at the rest of the series, I mentioned tomorrow night's game is on Apple TV. So I don't know. I should know. I know you have to pay for Apple TV, but I don't know if there's a way to get the game if you are not a subscriber, or pay for that subscription of Apple TV. That said, though, I think listening to the Tigers radio broadcast is always worthwhile. Dan Dickerson, and whether it be Bobby Skills or Andy Dirks or who's ever with them. Obviously, I miss Jim Price. May he rest in peace. He meant so much to the radio booth for the Detroit Tigers, part of the sound waves of my childhood. And we certainly gone but never forgotten with Jim Price there. And then I know Craig Monroe has done some radio broadcasts with Dan Dickerson. Point being, you're always going to learn something on the radio broadcasts as well. All right. Now, the next part of the equation for game number 2 of the 4-game series. Right now, Kenta Maeda is expected to go for the Tigers. He in his 2-1 record and 5.80 ERA against Tanner Houck for the Boston Red Sox, who's 4-5 on the season, 1.9 ERA. So you look at this series and what it could be for the Tigers. Maybe, and somebody said it on Twitter, I think people said it in the chat, that the Blue Jays series, that walk-off win on Sunday, taking 3 in a row, 3 out of 4 from the Blue Jays, parlaying that into a Tarek Skubal dominant performance in game 1 of the Twin Bill yesterday, to then adding a shutout victory over the Red Sox to begin this series. There's a lot of good things in terms of momentum for this ball club right now. Let's see if they can sustain it, get off this 500 treadmill, and start becoming a winning team. And we know the pitching staff's capable, and the offense deserves some credit. I know they were absent in game 2 yesterday, but for the most part, they have, in my opinion, I'll use this term loosely, so please provide some liberty for me. I'm not declaring this a dominant offense or anything of that matter, but I think they're starting to turn a corner where they're no longer just a blatant, obvious weakness and Achilles heel of this team, at least in the better part of the more recent sample sizing of the last couple of games for the Tigers. So that said, I think I know this. I think this is appointment viewing for the next couple of games for the Tigers, and what can they do against the Red Sox and against a good team. You look at the Red Sox, and I know that's not the barometer. You're going to play a lot of teams. They're right at the 500 mark as well after tonight, a game under 500, just like the Tigers. But there's a lot of baseball left to be played. And given the state of this team, if you can start to stockpile some of these road wins and road series, it just will bode so well for you as we get down the stretch here and try to make a push post All-Star break into the trade deadline, and then, of course, into the final months of the season to see what happens in the AL Central. Because I still, maybe the Guardians have done enough to prove, okay, they're here for the long haul. The Royals as well. I think the Twins are going to flake out. I know nobody thinks of the Tigers in that light, but I still believe. And maybe, just maybe, this organization can go out and do something crazy and spend and try to acquire somebody at the deadline for a push if they're in that position and if it makes sense. I know I'm putting the cart way ahead of the horse. So if you want to yell and scream at me, I certainly understand. It's just a thought that's I'm tossing around out here as we tie a bow on a 5-0 Tigers victory. That maybe it's go adding another bat. Maybe it's a third baseman that could play an everyday third base. You know, you look at possibly exploring the likes of people that are, you know, the other side of it too, that I didn't want to get into, especially as we wrap up a show here, that if it gets bad, then you're looking at trading Spencer Torkelson. I'm sorry, not Spencer. What am I saying? It's late. You're looking at trading Tarek Skubal, because there will be no other time where his value is as much as it is with what he's done this season. I'm not for that at all. Please hear that. I would love to continue to develop the homegrown superstar, or reward the development of a homegrown superstar, because I think we can declare Tarek Skubal just that, a homegrown superstar, and pay the man and let him be the face of your starting rotation for years moving forward without wasting him by adding other pieces. And Scott Harris, if you're listening, I know you're a big fan of the show. You can do both. You can develop players and spend to put pieces around those developing players combined with the rotation that you have. And I still think this can be a winning organization that can make some noise in the second part of this season. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think as well. If you haven't yet, subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Make sure you tune in to Locked On Tigers on the daily with Scott Bentley. I keep saying we're going to do a show together, and we are. I got to reach out to Scott and make that happen, find a night that works for him where he can hop on one of our live Locked On Tigers postcasts. I think that would be really, really enjoyable, like it is every night. Born Cool says, thanks for giving me a space to talk Tigers baseball. I know my buddies thank you because I'm not blowing up the group chat. Hey, blow up that group chat, man. That's what group chats are for. Talking ball with your friends, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is. That's what friends are for. But you know what? That's what Locked On Sports Detroit is for as well. Safe spot for everybody to let their voice be heard. That's the beauty of this platform. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Tigers get the win, 5-0 behind 6 2/3 shutout innings from Jack Flaherty, carried the no-hitter into the 7th inning, 6 1/3 of no-hit baseball. Bullpen does the rest. Flaherty now 2-4 on the season. Home runs tonight from Akil Badoo, Riley Green, and Gio Urshella, an RBI single from Mark Cannon. Add it all up, and it is a 5-0 win for the Boston Red Sox. It sounded like I just said Mark Cannon. That means it's late. It's Mark Cannon. Come on, Riepma. Enunciate, man. Don't just let the words trail out of your mouth. I'm getting lost. All right, there we go. Tigers win it 5-0. Game 2 of the series tomorrow night. Even though the game's not on Valley Sports, we will have a Locked On Tigers postcast for you at the conclusion of the game. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Locked On Tigers postcast.